Hi, I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Chelsea Lipford-Wolf.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a like and a comment.
And be sure to share with a friend, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified of new videos.
Thanks and enjoy the show.
What makes one house stand out over another as you walk down the street? It's curb appeal. This week, we're improving the curb appeal on a home in this neighborhood.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford, the voice of home improvement, with projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
Curb appeal can be improved on homes in a lot of different ways. A fresh paint job, maybe a couple extra shutters, more landscaping, landscape lighting, or you can do what we're doing here in building an impressive front porch. Now this home's around 45 years old. The homeowners have lived here a little over 30 years and have always wanted a front porch. Well, it won't be long. This will only take a couple weeks to build. 7 feet wide, 22 feet long, nice gable roof with a nice round feature vent right on the very front of it will really change the curb appeal of this home. And you'll see it all completed in this week's show. Stay with us. Our first step in improving the curb appeal on this home is to install the new porch floor, all concrete. It's taken a while to get to this point, but before we started, we had another small porch that had to be demolished along with a set of steps. Now, a jackhammer made that go along pretty quick, and after that, we were able to start putting down our foundation. Now the brickwork plays an important part in the look of this porch with the brick perimeter all the way around, and it'll really tie it back in to the existing house. You can see the bricks we have along there that are in bad need of cleaning. Once those are cleaned, they'll match very closely with the new bricks we have. Now, even though it's a small area, quite a few bricks have to be laid because we have a set of steps here, 7 foot wide, that'll transition down to the existing brick sidewalk. Also, after our brick mason Roy and his crew finish installing the bricks along the front here, then they'll be putting in what we call a roll-lock. Now that's a course of bricks just like we have here that serves as a perfect way to cap off the new bricks, as well as a nice border all the way around the perimeter of the porch. As I said, there's a lot of bricks to be laid yet. Roy and his crew have plenty to keep up with because each and every brick in each and every row must be laid up straight and level. This job takes a lot of hard work and plenty of skill, but frankly, much of it is simply paying attention to the details. Details like cleaning the new mortar joints so that they match the existing house and brushing the surface of the bricks to remove any stray mortar. When the bricks are done, there are more details to consider with the surface of the porch itself.
Yes, sir.
The owner wants a decorative pattern on the porch, so we're laying out a series of diamonds on the concrete with chalk lines. These lines will serve as guides for scoring the concrete. We're using an ordinary circular saw outfitted with a diamond tip blade to make an 1/8 of an inch deep cut in the concrete. A strip of wood acts as a straight edge to ensure that the lines won't wobble or waver. The final result is beautiful. It's amazing what a few score joints will do to a plain looking concrete slab. Now this same scoring technique can be done on an existing slab, but naturally an older slab is going to be a lot harder to score than a slab like this. It's only just a few days old. Now other decisions that will have to be made by the homeowner includes whether or not to stain it to provide some color to the top of the slab, or maybe even put a clear sealer. But either way, the slab needs to cure for about 30 days before those decisions have to be made. Now our brick mason did a great job. Everything looks good. He's cleaned up well, and he left us with some very nice looking steps here. This will really make you feel welcome to walk up on this porch once everything's complete. One of those things that will have to be done is an alteration of the existing sidewalk. We'll have to take this curb out completely, tie it back in, and we have a little void here we'll have to fill in with some of the bricks. Now, on the construction of a project like this, particularly in consideration of rain, you want to make sure the water's running away from the house. You can see what we've done to ensure that will happen by the way the bricks are laid here. Everything's level on this step, and you can see this joint starts off at about 1 inch thick here, and as it progresses down to less than 1/4 of an inch. So we have over 1 inch slope on the porch. That way, when it rains down, even with the roof covering over it, you're going to get a blowing rain every now and then. That won't be a problem. The rain will flow off just like it should. Now, the next big step here is to build the roof covering that's going over this, and to protect the concrete, because it's still a little tender to maybe walking on it or any ladder that may be used. We're going to put down an OSB board to protect it. That way, we can move along with building the roof cover. This cover-up will not only protect the concrete from chips and stains, but with the addition of the plastic will also hold in moisture, causing the concrete to cure more slowly, reducing the possibility of cracking. Now, our simple solution of the week.
It's time for this week's simple solution from home repair expert Joe Truini.
All of us have probably had to deal with this problem, a slow draining tub.
You're right, Danny. This is pretty common, and the problem's caused by a buildup of soap and hair over weeks and even months that little by little close off the drain and prevents the water from clearing out of the tub. Now, you could use a plunger like this, which is great for clearing all sorts of plumbing clogs around the house, but it's not very effective on a tub, and here's why. The overflow plate on a tub has two holes that lead to an air shaft that goes down. And they're there so that you don't overflow the tub with water. If you forgot to turn the water off, it wouldn't drain onto the floor. It would just go in these holes and down the drain. But that defeats the plunger because as you're plunging, it's sucking air in and out of those holes, and it's not delivering all its power to the clog. So in this case, where we have standing water, we're going to plug up those holes with a damp cloth.
Okay,
so
so
if you can give me a
take
hand,
care of that for you.
hold that tight against there.
Okay, Joe, we're
Now
ready.
we'll see what happens. This should clear most of this clog, if not all of it. And there, you can see with just 2 or 3 strokes with the plunger, you can see how more quickly it's draining. And if I did that just once or twice more, it'd be completely gone.
That should take care of it.
We're back out on a remodeling project that'll significantly improve the curb appeal of this home with the addition of this new front porch. It'll be quite a change. Now, we've already completed all of the concrete for the porch floor, including the slab itself and the perimeter of bricks we have all the way around it that helps to tie it back in to the original house. Also, we've completed the scoring of a design on the surface of the porch floor, which will really make it look nice once everything's complete. And over the last couple days, our carpenters have really been busy. Before the new porch could begin, the old one had to go away. Even though the porch gable was small, removing it was quite a job because it was very well built. The roof overhang along the front of the house also had to be cut back to make way for the framing that would later tie into the house in this location. Because this kind of demolition leaves a home exposed to the elements, it was very important that this part of the job take place on a day with a clear forecast. Finally, the last of the old gable was gone and the new framing could begin. The outer beams of the porch were first established and secured to the front wall of the house, followed by the addition of the ceiling joist. Later, these joists will support the plywood porch ceiling, but right now, they're keeping the outer beams from bowing in or out over the length of the porch. The joists were spaced every 16 inches and tapered down on the house side to minimize the demolition necessary there. The first 2 rafters and the ridge board went up next, and these components established the basic height, size, and shape of the new roof. The skeleton was starting to take shape, but what would it look like when we started to cover it up? You know, many times homeowners have a little trouble visualizing exactly what kind of impact something like this will have on their home. Well, at this point, it's a lot easier to see how everything will turn out. And recently, we spoke with a homeowner who says she's getting a better picture of how it will look. Well, Patsy, every time I drop by, you're sitting on the park bench keeping an eye on the job.
Well, I think it's very important for me to do, but really, they're so professional. They don't need me. But I just enjoy watching the progress.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see it come together. I know you were having a little trouble visualizing exactly what it would look like before we started the job, but you can kind of get a good idea of what it'll look like when everything's complete, won't it?
Yeah, once they got the gables up there and framed it in, then I could really see what was going to happen.
Yeah, it's moving along quick, and I understand you got a pretty good deal on this electrical work.
Yeah, fortunately, my son is an electrician, and of course, he came cheap.
Good, good. Well, that's an important part of the job, especially getting all the recessed lights in. I know you're having some ceiling fans out there. That'll be really nice as you're sitting here. Now, as far as the colors that you've decided, I know you were thinking of a lot of different color schemes, and right now you have a dark blue everywhere. What have you decided as far as the overall color?
Well, I'm going to replace my screen door.
I see.
And then all of what's blue now, I will change to black with a little hint of green in it.
Oh, that's good on a house of this kind of style. That'll really look nice. What about all your eaves?
I'm going to change those to white.
Okay.
I think it'll look bigger then.
That might make it look a little bigger and certainly help on what we're trying to do here is improve the curb appeal. So that's a great idea. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get all the other guys to show up, the roofer, the siding guy. You're in charge of the electrician.
Oh, I know where he lives.
All the materials we're using on this front porch, of course, are new materials, but we want to make sure it blends in well to the existing older house. Now, we're doing several things to make sure that happens. We mentioned earlier about the brickwork we have around the bottom of the porch and how it ties into the house once all of this is cleaned up. That'll really help to blend in. Also, earlier, Patsy mentioned how the front of the house would be the same combination of colors. That will certainly help the new blend in with the old, but here's some other things we're doing. You can see the overhang area has been left exposed with the 2x6 rafters and the 3/4 inch plank decking. Now, this is the exact same way the existing house is, so that really makes it look like part of the original structure. But instead of using the 3/4 inch wood throughout all of the decking, we changed to an OSB sheathing to keep the cost down a little bit, and structurally it's just as good as the 3/4 inch wood. Now, at this point in the job, you can see the guys are finishing up the lap siding out on the gable end here. Won't be long before they'll be finished with that. Then they'll drop down and finish up the plywood ceiling that's going in on the porch itself. After that, then the concentration will be on some of the finish work. Now, this is the column base that's already been secured down. They'll put a bolt and a washer over that. Then they'll take this 3/4 inch 8-inch by 8-inch box column, position it over on the base, then the handrails will tie to that, and it'll be time to call the painter. We'll show you all of that in just a little bit.
Let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product, brought to you by the Home Depot.
Whether I'm out on the job sites or tinkering around in my garage, maybe relaxing on the back deck, it's nice to have some music around. Now, over the years, power tool manufacturers have produced a very rugged type of radio that's perfect for any of those situations. Now, I really like this one from Bosch. It has a lot of different features. Of course, it has the AM/FM radio with a number of different settings that are available, presets. And you have the CD option, playing your favorite CDs. And speaking of power, this thing also has 2 outlets on the side that are GFCI protected. And around back, more power to recharge all those cordless batteries you may have around the home or around the job site. And here on the back, you have an outlet for your 12-volt plug-in that you may have, perfect for the cell phone or anything else like that. Also MP3 compatible, so you have your MP3 player that you can play through this. And also you have the built-in rack to wind up the cord as you transport it from spot to spot. Now, another thing is you can tell it's ruggedly built, and the manufacturer says that you could actually drop this off a 10-foot ladder without any damage at all. A lot of features for less than $200. Well, we've had some rain showers blow through and has restricted our work area to just the front porch itself. We're finishing up all of the handrails. That'll be ready to turn over to the painter very soon. And Greg has the tough task of trying to match in some of the old brittle siding that got damaged during the construction, but that shouldn't be too much longer and we can turn that over to the painter. I'm really glad the roofers made it out to complete their work yesterday. Obviously, there was a lot of new roof here to cover up, but we also decided to put new roofing on all of the surfaces that connected with the new section. This will minimize the difference between the old and new shingles, but more importantly, it allowed the roofer to really weave the shingles together tightly in the 2 valleys that were created by the addition of the new gable over the porch. All of the surfaces on the roof have to be watertight, but because of the volume of water that these valleys will handle, it is crucial that there are no mistakes here. Meanwhile, down below, the crew was putting up the plywood ceiling for the porch. Then things really took off with the trim going up all around the porch and all of the handrails and spindles being put in place along the front. Careful attention to these last few details before painting will really make a difference in the finished product. The new siding that Greg is using to match the old sidings is a fiber cement material, and he's had a little bit of a challenge here to actually match the bottom profile. It has a wavy profile, whereas this is just as straight as can be. So he's had to use one of the old tiles as a template to shape the actual wave. Then tried several different things to cut that, a jigsaw, but we found that a belt sander worked better than anything just to shape the bottom edge as we need it. But it's very brittle still, so he's having to be very careful when he's nailing this in. But once he completes this piece and a couple other smaller pieces, then it's time for the painters. Their first step will be to thoroughly clean all of the surfaces on the existing house. The eaves and the siding are sprayed with a bleach detergent solution before the guys wade into the house with a pressure washer. All of the dirt and mildew that has accumulated over the years has to be removed so that the new paint will stick. The new wood will have to be primed and the gaps caulked before later coats can be applied. The goal of the painter on a project like this is to prevent anyone from distinguishing the old surfaces from the new.
On an older home like this, when you have a new porch, it makes this house look a lot newer than what it used to be. And you have old siding and older windows and everything. What you do is you prep everything with some good oil-based primer and then go back in the old existing areas, and in my opinion, prep them, prime them accordingly to make everything kind of flow together, and then come back with all your colors. Obviously some of the colors, the older colors are blue, which we're changing those. Bring everything a little bit more modern and up to date. That way it all flows together and doesn't look like a brand new porch stuck on the front of this house. On areas where you got treated wood versus redwood and stuff like that, I always like to go with the oil pigmented white base shellac primer because it's a stain killer and a stain blocker also, because in your treated woods, a lot of times have a lot of knots and stuff which will create pitch bleed, and so will the redwood. And if you treat it all with the same primer, it should seal it up and you should be just fine.
Gary brought his entire crew out to complete all the finishing touches on their paint job on their new porch. Fresh coat of paint on the front of the house, the shutters, the front door. It's going to look great by the end of the day. Another thing that's taking place is Greg and Mark's filling in a brick area here. That sidewalk used to be only 3 feet wide. Now we're having to bring it out to 7 foot wide in order to tie in to our new wide steps. Now we were lucky to find some of the old handmade bricks that match all of the original bricks just perfectly. So by the end of the day, all of that will be taken care of. Now you really don't have to build a big porch like this or do a lot of work or spend a lot of money to substantially improve the curb appeal of your home. A fresh coat of paint, new shutters, doing anything to your front door, a little landscaping, all of these things can make a big difference in how your house looks, and in the event that you're selling the house, it'll sell a lot quicker. Now we'll show you how everything turns out in just a little bit, but first, let's check in with Tricia.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley.
Looks like a brand new rose in the garden here, Tricia.
Well, this got planted about 2 months ago and it's looking pretty nice, don't you think?
It's very, very healthy. What's your secret?
Well, I do have a secret, and it's a different kind of plant food than you would think.
Oh, is that right? You just sprinkle something around here?
Well, I've been doing some of that, but I've also been giving it some banana peels.
Ooh, old banana peels.
Nice and smelly.
Oh. So why banana peels, though?
Well, just like we enjoy the banana itself and we get potassium for our body, well, these lovely roses love potassium. So what I did was I saved these up for quite some time and chopped them into small pieces, and I'm going to spread them around here. Now, this is something that you can do every month, really, if you want. Of course, frequently I put my banana peels in the compost, but I also like to separate them out and give them to the rose, because aside from the potassium, they also get calcium and phosphate and magnesium. It's really fabulous, and it keeps them as healthy as they are.
Boy, it really must work very well to be able to get them looking this nice, and that's all there is to it, huh?
That's all there is to it, and if you don't want to do it this way, you can also save up the banana peels and put them in a jar, covered for 2 weeks, nice and smelly at that point, and give them a banana tea.
Okay, just pour it around there. All right, well, great. Well, I'll remember this because I eat a lot of bananas, so from now on, I'm mailing the banana peels to you.
Oh, terrific.
It's taken a couple weeks and around $14,000 budget to complete the front porch, but what a difference it's made. It simply doesn't even look like the same house. Before, we had a nice, neat little house, but the tiny little stoop of a porch wasn't exactly welcoming. By removing that stoop and gable and building a new front porch, we were able to not only add charm to the home's appearance, we've added a whole new outdoor living area. The wide steps welcome visitors, and the scored concrete floor, wicker furniture, and traditional wood railings almost beg you to sit down for a glass of lemonade. If you're contemplating making a major change on the front of your house like we've done with this home, it's a good idea to jump in the car, drive around the neighborhood, and look for homes that have elements that really make them stand out. Then you can work with a designer to see if those same elements will work at your home. Then they can provide you an elevation drawing that'll show you exactly what the finished project will look like. That way, when you get to this stage in the job, everybody's happy. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified of new videos.
And be sure to click around and watch some more videos while you're here.